Hey guys, how's it going? I know it's been a minute since I've done one of my Bible stories, but it's a new year and we're back at it. Today we're going to talk about when the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant, really because I just find the story really amusing, and you're going to find out I'm a little twisted once you hear the story about why I find it's amusing. The main parts take place in 1 Samuel 5 and 6. So in 1 Samuel 4, the Philistines and the Israelites are having a battle, and the Philistines win, and so they steal the Ark of the Covenant from the Israelites, and they bring it back with them as part of like their loot, their booty. The reason being is that when people fought, they also believed that their gods fought with them and for them. So whoever won, that also meant that their god was stronger. And so they would always take back, if they could, symbols of that god to like bring also as almost like a slave or a captive to their god. And since the Israelites don't have any graven images or statues of their god, they took the Ark of the Covenant because that's the symbol of his power and glory. So anyways, they take the Ark of the Covenant to a place called Ashdod, which is one of the 5 cities. So the Philistines were famous for having five ruling cities, okay? So they take it to Ashdod, and they take it to their temple for Dagon, and they place the Ark of the Covenant in the temple with Dagon, like as like a, hey, look at, this God is now subjected to you. And so they tuck their God into bed, and they go home, and they go to bed. So they come in the next morning, and Dagon has fallen down. And they were like, what happened? So they pick him up, and they put him back in his spot, and they go back about their day. They go home, go to bed. They come back in the next morning to come into the temple. And not only has Dagon fallen down, his head has been severed, and his hands are severed. Okay, so now they're freaked out. They're like, whoa, what is going on here? And if you remember just a few moments ago, I said, like, so the Ark of the Covenant would have been brought back as like a captive or a slave, the Israelites' God to the Philistines' God, right? So his head is cut off, so he's defeated, right? And then it was very common in those days to like cut off hands of captives when you won a battle or a war as kind of like a sign of how many people that you took. So both were symbols of being defeated or captives to the other side. So now they're completely freaked out, and also what is happening is that they are beginning to have tumors that like are killing them and that are really painful. Many people believe that the word tumor that is used there translates to the word hemorrhoids. Some say it's just a lymphatic, or it could be like the plague, like those type of tumors, like boils. But many say because of the way the word is used, that it would imply that the location would make it more of like they got really bad hemorrhoids. But obviously like bad enough to kill them. So like it was nasty. So anyway, so people at Ashdod are like, we gotta get rid of this Ark of the Covenant. But they don't want to give it back to Israel, right? Because they took it, like, right? It's theirs. So they send it on to, I think, let me double check, to Gath. So they send it to Gath. And the same thing happens in Gath. I believe the temple was only, the main temple to Dagon was only in Ashdod. But in Gath, they start getting the tumors and everything again. And they're like, get this thing out of here. So they go to send it to Ekron, and the people are like, no, you are not sending that thing here to kill us and to give us really bad tumors and make our life horrible. This is not happening. So the Bible says after the Philistines had the Ark of the Covenant for 70 days, they go to their priests, and they're like, okay, how do we get rid of this plague? What's going on? And the priests are like, you need to send it back, right? Like, just, let's get rid of that. So they're like, okay, so do we just send it back? And he's like, no, like you need to send it with like an offering, and not just an offering, like a guilt offering. Like obviously you have ticked off this God. And they're like, well, what should we send? He's like, well, there's 5 cities and 5 rulers, and the rulers were affected just like the normal people. So send 5, get this, you need to make 5 golden tumors and then 5 golden rats. So it didn't tell us earlier until this point, but there was a rat infestation also. So some people surmise that means that the rats somehow brought like a plague with them, which they could have. God could have used the rats to do that. Either way. And so this is kind of like the idea of like a scapegoat, which we find in Jewish tradition. It's also seen in like Hittite tradition. And just so around people in the area, in the region. So it's not unheard of. So you make like the replica and you send it away from you. So like the curse goes with it. Okay? And so they do it as gold to show like that it's an offering. And so they're like, okay. And he's like, okay. And the priests are like, but here's the other thing. So to send it away, you like put it on a brand new cart. Like it's obviously holy. So you need to put it on a brand new cart that's never been used. And then to see if it's really the Israelites' God that has sent this plague, what we should do is we'll take 2 cows that just gave birth and who have never been like harnessed up to a cart, and we'll harness them together to this new cart. If the cows just go on their own towards the Israelite territory, then the Israelites' God definitely just wants his ark back, and he's the one who sent the plague. If the cows, which what they naturally would do, would not want to be put to this cart, they would want to go back to their babies, they've never had to do this before and throw a fit, then we know it's just some weird coincidence. So the Philistines are like, okay, so they do all that, and they put the ark on the new cart, and then they load up also their guilt offerings of the 5 golden tumors. I mean, like, that's disgusting. What did that really look like? And 5 golden rats. And then they hook up these cows who have never been hooked up before to a cart and who just had babies. And the cows just like head off in the direction for the Israelite territory. So the Philistines are like, bye, take your plagues with you. And then what happens at the end is, so when they get to the next place, I think it was, let me double check. I don't want to lie to you. My Bible is reading it for me. They go somewhere. Sorry, guys. Totally blanked on. Bethshemesh. I've been there. When they go to Bethshemesh, Bethshemesh is like, oh, yay, the ark's back. And then some fools decide to, like, open it up and look inside. So here's the deal, like the Ark of the Covenant was not to be touched, and these people knew the rules. Like they weren't like the Philistines who were like, hey, we got their God, but didn't know the rules. The Israelites knew the rules. Like one does not touch the Ark of the Covenant at all. That like one does not touch God and God's glory, the representation of it. So they opened it up. Now you could argue that they were just trying to make sure that the Philistines didn't steal out like Aaron's rod or the manna or the 10 Commandments or any of those things, but it doesn't matter. So it says like 70 people died. And so the people in Bethshemesh are like, yeah, it should keep going. And then they sent it on to the next town where there would have been some Levites who could take care of that. So so with that, like we learn a lot of fun stuff that the Bible talks about, weird tumors that are probably hemorrhoids and rats. But we learn about how much people honor the idea of God, even if it wasn't their God. So, like the Philistines still understood that there was a power, even if it wasn't the same power as their God, right? And in this story, we definitely see that God is greater than any God that the Philistines could put up on them. And we also get a lesson in that God's lesson is not something to be captured, like as in the sense of like, hey, I got it and you don't. It's not a prize, and it's not something just to be trifled with. It's not something just common. So anyway, that's one of my favorite stories just because I think the hemorrhoids and the rats are funny. I probably would have thought it was funny if I was living then. But so if you guys like the stories, like what I'm doing, if you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, that'd be awesome. And I'll be putting more up. Have a good day, guys. Talk to you later.